I guess a YouTube video, response to Andy, who you never get a response from, who never deals with any arguments ever made to him, counter arguments, none whatsoever. Alright, so context. Alright, so there's this conversation taking place between people who think it's some sort of worthwhile project to keep making human beings so they can play the game of life, so they can participate in whatever you want to call it. You don't like the word game, well, whatever, the system of life. As humans, they can maintain our presence here. Maybe you want to do that because you think there should be Americans on Earth, or maybe you want to do that because you think there should be men on Earth because you're pro-male. Whatever you think is going to be accomplished. You seem to think that there needs to be more humans on Earth, and that we need to continue for forever and ever, or some kind of concept like that. But whatever. And people who have lived a life and said, "Oh, this is kind of a gnarly little messy thing, this living thing," and gone through these experiences where they've said, "Whoa," they've watched things happen that are just quite horrific, actually, horrifying. They've seen the images from the Holocaust, and ew, 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 ew. This is a gnarly, messy game. And they've realized, if they look inside their brain, right, they look inside there, they say, do I have any good reason whatsoever to force somebody else to play this game? Is there any good reason for me to put somebody in this jeopardy, with all the little trapdoors, all the little things you can fall in, that you've seen other people fall in, all the tiger traps that are out there that you saw your best friend Jim Bob fall in and go scream, and all the horrible stuff, and they became one of those pictures. He became one of those skulls, in the pictures, one of those little emaciated bodies being dragged to the hole. One of the little animals that just gets chomped. And they say, no. Yeah, it's just a desire thing, right? If I'm going to have a kid, it's just some sort of ego crap, just some sort of entertainment for myself. Oh, I have a job now, I have a purpose, I'm developing this little person, and maybe he'll talk like me, or maybe he'll look like me, and it'll say I love you, and that'll make me all gooey somehow. I can't even contrive that kind of argument because it's so distant from me. I have to concede that this never occurred to me. I've never even thought about it. I never in my whole life thought about having a kid and having it said, I love you, Daddy. I mean, it never even occurred to me to need that, to want that, to have any interest in that. So yeah, I can't fully relate, because I didn't have to overcome any huge necessity to have somebody say I love you who didn't have really spectacular tits. But anyway, it just doesn't make any sense to me at all. So anyway, the context is this guy is arguing against antinatalists. And not just any antinatalist. He's picked Benatar substantially. A guy who doesn't seem to express a whole lot of emotion, who writes very sterile and clinically on the subject. I mean, not even the little bit of poetry I've added here, the little bit of color. Yeah, no, he doesn't do any of that. And the little sarcastical humor at the real true horror of it. He doesn't really talk about the horror. And so anyway, he's picked this guy to argue against. That somehow it's not a good idea to suggest to people that they should get over their little mental bullshit that says somehow they need to exploit some child to make themselves happy, and that they should just get on with living their life, fucking, especially from the, and especially when you do it, they should just get on with doing that, and traveling the world and rubbing up against pyramids and things and saying, ooh, isn't that a spectacular little human accomplishment? Go to a few cathedrals and museums and talk eloquent talk to other people and pretend you're somebody and you're creative and you're an artist and you're interesting. Do all that crap and don't bother exploiting the little human thing and throwing him in harm's way to make yourself happy. Now, somehow he finds that argument horridly. So it deserves to be slandered with the word depression. And it deserves 80 or 90 videos to explain to people why, no, we can't have that. We can't mind over matter and use our big giant brains to figure out that we have really no need to be exploiting children, to be putting them in harm's way and jeopardy to satisfy some silly notion in our head that we need somebody to say I love you, or that we, even worse, right, need somebody who almost might look a little bit like us, okay, but not think like us at all, take our place because we're going to die. And that's, oh, that just, yes, we can't get over that one either. Isn't that ironic, though? This guy's talking about just get over it, and he's the one who just can't get over it. He can't get over that he's not going to be here, so he needs a little replacement. Yeah, he does. And he just doesn't care if his little replacement gets depressed and kills itself. Well, so what? I guess it was a clunker. That's the extent of emotion he'll, the extent of I couldn't be botheredness. He'll extend to the game he's playing. And you're just saying, why? Why is somebody who's going to sit there and tell you, and he's going to tell you that it's all mind over matter, that it's all just your perception, okay? Watching somebody die is not unpleasant if you don't make it unpleasant. So just have a good time. Laugh at it. You know, when the stuff flies out of their holes, and then, you know, and they have that really ugly, horrid, dying, emaciated look on their face. Yeah, laugh at it. Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, don't let it bother you, though. That's the last thing you want to do. Because, yeah, it'll discourage you from forcing some new individual to play the same stupid, idiotic play all over again. I mean, that's what life is. I mean, you know, it's realistic. It's just a bad play, you know, going town from town. And it's just a bad play. And it just should be canceled. But anyway, we see he's arguing against that. You can't cancel the play. Why? Well, that's the punchline, isn't it? That's the religion we're not hearing about yet. That's the little fire god or something. That's where this. That's why little Buddha's up there. You know, you don't put little Buddha up there for no reason. Little Buddha next to a box. It's sort of an interesting thing there. You know, we put this new box light up, and isn't it kind of just a boxed philosophy? You know, it's just so closed-minded. It just says, okay, this is the only truth there is. There's these four little bad things. You don't think about it. There. There's bad things. You don't think about it. Solution. I mean, isn't it amazing? This is called being an intelligent thing. Put yourself in a box of I can't fix anything. I can't control anything. I can't do anything. Just sit there and fart. You know, in the theater. I can't help it. I had to fart. Okay, so there I farted. Yeah, so what? It made you throw up. So what? He throwing up made that guy throw up. Well, so what? That guy throwing up made that guy throw up. It's not my fault. Well, you think that is, asshole? Control yourself. Stop making a mess, and there won't be any messes. Don't instigate it. Don't start the ball rolling. Don't keep the ball rolling. This isn't that complicated. So again, why, Andy? Why? Do you think people should have? You're claiming people have the power to overcome the deepest of depressions, the horrid of the horrid, and yet they can't overcome a silly notion in their head that they need a baby, that they need to somehow control and manipulate this thing and try to push it through all this trapdoor maze, you know, to make decisions like, oh, well, okay, I say it should be able to cut the grass when it's 11 years old, and it whacks its arm off. And they should just say, well, that's just part of life. Let's buy him a balloon. He could tie a pink balloon where his arm used to be, and it'll all be okay. I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't do anything silly. I don't have to take any responsibility for it. And that's all. That's somebody's supposed to take that seriously. I'm supposed to, as a rational brain, I'm supposed to somehow figure out why this makes any sense. You have the power to control your sympathy and empathy. You have the power to control what makes you throw the fuck up. And yet you don't have the power to control some silly notion that you need your DNA molecule to project into the future. and that you you shouldn't even advise people to really think hard about ever imposing life on a newborn. Like that's some kind of, like, creating life shouldn't take a huge amount of thought and processing before you inject somebody into this thing called life. It's such a it's such a given, it's such an easy answer that, yeah, just go stay inside your box. Don't wear condoms, don't use birth control, don't be responsible, don't be sensible. No, just be an idiot. I mean, you know, this isn't just the bliss of ignorance, like where you've selectively said, let's be a little bit ignorant just so we can get over these hard bits. You've said, let's be colossally ignorant and not even acknowledge that we don't have to do these things anymore. We can have good, fun sex without making babies. I mean, what is this about? You don't want to wear a condom? Is that all this is about? You just don't want to wear one because you think it somehow detracts from your magical experience? What is the reason why you have to contrive an excuse to produce babies? What is that? Sorry, I don't get it. As a male, I certainly don't get it, all right? I mean, I have a hard time doing the little family man-y thing. I just don't get it. I don't see the huge, gigantic sacrifice of stepping out of the little box that the societies and cultures have tried to put people in and say, you play this role. Yes, you be a little snotty-nosed, wiping, you know, whatever that is. Soccer dad. Yeah, no thank you. No thank you. No the fuck thank you. And again, so why this energy to stop Benatar? He's making the most benign of arguments, the most, look, take this little bit of control of your life, this little bit of green philosophy, where he's not even saying, let's have, you know, let's all ride bicycles and let's all do this. No, he's nothing draconian, just little personal lifestyle decision. Look at your decision to have a kid, and just understand that you're opening this door to future harm. You're not doing him really a favor. It's not the gift of life. In many respects, it's going to be the burden of life. And why would you take that chance? God doesn't say we have to do that. There's no other reason why we have to do that. Why are you doing that? Why are you supporting a silly, culturally archaic, totem pole-ish perception of what life is? Especially in light of the fact that most people, the vast majority of people, have already chosen to modify their reproduction, have already chosen to take some responsibility for it, and to do it within moderation. So much so that if the top 85% of people were responsible for human procreation on Earth, there would be extermination of the human race eventually, because they don't birth at a rate sufficient to maintain human existence. So I mean, in the face of that the vast majority of people have already defined happiness as controlled reproduction, not loose or reckless or sloppy reproduction. Terminalistic reproduction, okay, extermination reproduction is what they've already chosen. We're talking about the 15% who are trapped in just a life they are just ritualistically acting out because of dogma, silly Bibles, silly Buddhas, silly other notions of truth that have nothing to do with reality. So you're advocating for the ignorant 15% philosophy should somehow be the majority philosophy, that the smart people should go back to being dumb people. Why? Because it makes them happier. Says you. You say what is happiness. You were unhappy and you called it depression. I am unhappy, yet I wouldn't call it depression. I'd call it character. I'd call it integrity. I'd call it decency. I'd call it rationality. I should be unhappy. I don't like trapdoors. I don't get off on it. I can fuck lots of things, but I can't fuck a trapdoor. All right? I got no romantic interest in playing with trapdoors. I mean, this is why. So again, why? Why are you doing this? Why are you arguing against reducing human need to find silly excuses to be reckless reproducers, to recklessly put things in harm's way? And you can't do it any other way. There's no controlled way to put it in harm's way. You can't control the experiment. It's a completely uncontrollable experiment. Why would you impose that on somebody if it's all mind over matter? If the only thing that compels you to do it is some silly notion in your head. Is there something else besides a silly notion in your head? No, there isn't. Especially for a male. So anyway, let's play the video. Sorry, 15 minutes of preamble, but that's what it takes. I mean, this is just so offensive. His manipulations are so clear. This argumentation from slander. And so there's got to be a motive behind that. Why would somebody do this to their integrity, play this slanderous game, unless they're really got some agenda behind it?
That you have to deal with. What do you plan to do about that? Well, I'll quote our friend David Benatar.
Even this attitude, our friend David Benatar, like Benatar is the god of this religion and blah, blah, blah. He's the god of one argument, the asymmetry argument. And so again, so why do you need to put Benatar down? What did he say that is so inaccurate? Can't you just deal with the inaccurate things he said? Now why? Why do you need to taint it with this patronizing and insulting rhetoric? Why do you need to do that?
He says, he spiels off his...
Spiels off. You see, just loaded with rhetoric. Where does that come from? What mental faculty is pure in that kind of bullshit? What desire mechanism or petty mechanism have you controlled in needing to express it as a spiel?
Famous list of
famous
all
list.
The harms of the world.
Famous list. I don't think his list is famous. I don't think it's at all famous. I don't even think it's a well-constructed list. I don't think it's the focus of the book. I don't think it's anywhere close to it. You want to say his infamous mathematical equation? You might be able to get away with that, because that's the substance of his book. It's the very thing he points to in the book. He basically says, here's the argument in my book. It's these 5 pages. The rest of the pages just explain why those 5 pages kick fucking ass. You didn't read the book.
Pandora's box. We frequently contemplate the harms that await any newborn child. Pain, disappointment, anxiety, grief, and death.
Yeah, and he could have said sickness. He could have said misery. He could have thrown a whole bunch more words in there that would have made it a little more rich, right? I mean, chemotherapy isn't just about pain, right? I mean, it's about being sick and feeling awful and fatigue and you know, just a, you know, there are things. I had Lyme disease 3 times, and you know, the first time I had it, it was zombie disease. It was horrid. I mean, it wasn't painful. It was just, you felt like radioactive shit. I mean, it was just horrid.
Think about those. Pain, disappointment, anxiety, grief, and death.
Yeah, whatever. Like I said, you think this is the great list? This is what he wrote the book was for to come up with those generic descriptors of life experience? But again, like I said, they don't say anything about all the stuff that's out there, all the really, you know, even the Shakespearean, right? We could go with the emotions in your average Shakespearean play, and they go a little deeper than those 4 or 5 words, right?
Well, how many of those take place out there in the world, and how many of them take place here?
Oh, duh. The whole conversation is about what takes place to sentient organisms, okay? Either directly or indirectly. And quite obviously, the grief is a great point. I mean, there's nothing, no one's being tricked and thinking their grief takes place somewhere else besides inside of them. That longing and missing and wanting and needing, these are all things that happen to us individually. It isn't in the world, it's in our perception. Duh. Wow. Stunning. Yeah, is that your spiel? Can you spew off some more of those?
Well, pain is a thing of the central nervous system. The central nervous system is here.
Oh wow! See, I mean, this is really great argument, right? This is like the banana guy. Look, it's the perfect food. God must have invented it, even though he didn't. And blah blah blah. It's all you're just doing some sort of banana joke here. Well, oh yeah, what? Nobody could figure out that our sensations are in our brain.
Disappointment, anxiety, grief, and death. Well, disappointment, anxiety, and grief are definitely taking place here.
Yeah, just look at his face, right? And his point is that somehow you're not supposed to have those, okay? So when you live with your dog for 17 years and he's a loyal companion and he dies horribly, you're just supposed to get over it. That's all. Yeah, fuck the dog. He's dead. Who cares? That's how you're supposed to live your life. You're not supposed to not get over it. It's not supposed to haunt you, the ghosts and stuff. All that stuff that is all so much part of our character, through time. All these kind of regret, these kind of emotions. No, we're not supposed to be dealing with any of that. We're just supposed to say it's really means something. It's meaningful. Okay to be a human who doesn't give a fuck. Isn't that a preposterous hypocrisy, a duplicity, an insensibility? The only thing that gives us any character at all, gives life any meaning at all, is the capacity for love to actually mean something. And it doesn't mean anything if it can't hurt you, if it can't hurt you profoundly.
That's where they all have to be fought. Death, well, that's pretty much inevitable, and that is a little bit beyond the scope of this video.
Ah, well, that's what I'd like to get to, though. I'd like to hear the scope thing. I'd like to hear how that's somehow in some other's category, that it's beyond your scope. We know what it is. It's the end of your existence. So you build up this whole thing, you learn a bunch of stuff, you become a semi-competent human being, regularized to your function. You finally learn how to play the game, and you die. Usually not well. Usually in some sort of process that turns you into a fucking Skeletor or a zombie. Great. Super. And no one's supposed to say, well, that's a little messy, isn't it? Can we do something about that? Because really, that's sort of, if I'm going to go to the store and buy one of these life things, well, I can't really say I'd like to give that to my kid. Here, have a death. Zombie death or Skeletor death. I can't. I ain't gonna buy something with that much dioxin in it. If you can't take the dioxin out of the sparkling water, yeah, I don't think I'm buying it.
What I'm referring to here is the harm that takes place while we are alive. I would say all of it takes place between the ears.
Well, what the fuck ever, of course. I mean, people have argued that there's the only thing in the universe that means anything is a sentient experience. That's exactly what we've argued, that all value is based on sentient experiences. And bad sentient experiences have a negative value. Okay? Negative. Yeah, okay. Jesus.
It all takes place in our minds, in our consciousness, in our brains, our central nervous system.
Right, exactly. That's exactly where the silly notion that, I have a big giant ego and I have to make a replication of myself so it can somehow vicariously live my life for me, even though it won't be me. But it'll still have my super cool name, Anekantavad. Yeah. I have to make a little one of me. There needs to be a future inmendham on YouTube. I need a replacement inmendham. Yeah, be just like me, except it won't be. Yeah, be doing fucking fingernail polish videos.
However you care to define that state of what's going on in the head.
Ego, preposterous, gigantic, silly, poofter ego. That's what you got. You got like this super pseudo gay poofter ego monster. You're a nihilist, crazy fuck. Yeah.
In the head.
Yes. Sick in
All
the
the
head.
suffering takes place in there.
Right. The question is, should you make a new head for suffering to take place in? Oh, that's right. My child, I will brainwash it from birth, and so it will be a nihilist, selfish motherfucker. And hopefully then it'll steal all your money, okay? And it'll inject you with dioxin. Yeah, I just hope you have a kid, and I hope he fucking just fucking uses you up like toilet paper.
That's where depression's suffering takes place. Depression, as I said, was the ultimate challenge to life.
Oh, no. The ultimate challenge is getting over your ego. But whatever. You've never explained. So this is another. I'm just going to point this out. Right now, people are going to use accusations. They're going to slander all antinatalists with this word depression, even though there's no evidence of it. None whatsoever. Shouldn't they take some responsibility for that? I mean, so explain to me, if you're an expert on depression, if you say you know what all depression is and how all depressed people are, why don't you tell us what you were depressed about? Why don't you explain? There were thoughts going through your head when you were depressed, no doubt, right? You couldn't have been depressed if there weren't thoughts going through your head. So why don't you tell me what depressed you? And I bet you all of them have to do with some sort of inferiority complex you had, some sort of notion that you're an ugly little turdy piece of shit. Okay, and that's all it was about. And so you ate your negative perception of yourself, created a fucking goddamn egomaniacal nihilist monster, and you replaced your little wimpy, nerdy, turdy self with a goddamn Frankenstein. That's all you did, with some kind of monster. Just take, and I'll get what I want. Happy, and I'll call myself happy. Yeah, like you would have to pay me, okay, a literal fortune to be you, shithead, to have your psychology. The last thing I'd ever want to be is some sort of maniacal, petty weasel like yourself. And you call yourself some sort of example of a reformed human being. Reformed into what? A selfish asshole? Why the fuck would I want to be one of them?
But depression can be overcome. I'm living proof of that.
Oh, right. You're proof of something. Proof of what? Boxed thinking. Buddha box thinking. And what it does to the world. It's so silly. You can overcome everything except your preposterous ego desire to impose life on a child who didn't need it and doesn't want it and can't use it and probably won't be best served by it. I mean, that's the probabilistic reality, isn't it? Again, look at the average human life. Look at the average person out there. Would you really want to live their life? Answer the question honestly, please.
It can be overcome. One ends up sounding horrifically and unacceptably arrogant to people to say, "I'm a survivor. You're in the midst of it." And
yes. So you don't overcome any of that, those liabilities. That's right. You sound incredibly pompous, pious, and again, why would I want to replace? I wouldn't replace the most horrid, silliest depression for this bliss of ignorance nonsense. For this, let's just pretend everything's okay. And as long as we pretend well, everything's okay. Let's just watch Teletubby TV. Turn off the news, turn on the Teletubbies. No, thank you.
Look at me. See how happy I am with everything.
Yeah, look at you. See how happy you are. Again, I don't see that. I see a fake and a phony and a fraud. I don't see happy. I see box. I see you whining that you're so controlled by your DNA code that you can't even overcome the silliest of goddamn ego notions that you need a baby for some reason. that you need to live your life through its existence for some reason. If you don't have that, it's like being denied the magic chocolate donut of life. That somehow so your whole life is invested in this purpose. And you're telling me I want that psychology? No, thank you.
It's an insult. It angers people when you say that.
Yeah, well, you say a lot more than that, okay? Your insults are all over the place. And yes, they're veiled, and they're articulate and well constructed, but that's all they are, is insults. So you just make a litany of ad hominem attacks and pointed accusations, pointed in a, look, my finger's generally in your direction. My finger is generally pointing in your direction. Kind of bullshit. And call yourself, and have the pretense of being an honest, upright human. No, you're a lying, petty, manipulative, psychotic weasel.
And, well, it angers people who are drowning in the sea of depression.
And you're what? You're snorting the glitter of, synthesized unicorn piss. I mean, you're tying fucking pink balloon on amputated limb.
But just because someone is angered by it doesn't mean that it's less valid.
No one's making that argument. What's less valid is you're making no argument. It's a duplicitously silly argument. To argue that you can overcome your empathy, you can overcome your attachment to things, you can overcome your give a damn about anything but cake. Wait for your lunch, all right? Only focus on lunch. And then once you're done with lunch, then focus only on dinner. Keep your mind short-sighted and narrow and personally focused, right? You can do that, but you can't overcome a silly little ego attachment to some notion that your kind needs to be propelled into the future.
The harms that are caused in this plane of existence are undeniable in life.
Well, you've already denied them many times. You said the harm doesn't really exist. You say once they're dead, it doesn't matter. I mean, so again, this is just more of your duplicity. You say something so you sound reasonable, and then you will unravel the reasonability of it with a big, giant pile of bullshit.
But the recognition of them is nothing new.
So recognition is nothing new. That's right. It's part of being rationally connected to your environment. That's right. If you watch your best friend get eaten by the bear, it wouldn't be rational for you to say, "Holy shit, I'm in some shit here," because I'm probably next.
The Buddha, in his first noble truth, said, "What is the noble truth of suffering? Birth is suffering, aging is suffering, and sorrow and lamentation, pain, grief, and despair."
Well, why didn't you say the Buddha's famous spiel, spunk, is his famous list of bullshit about what suffering is? Why didn't you do the same kind of rhetoric? Oh, that's right, because you love Buddha.
Suffering. Well, all of these things are things of the mind. And then the Buddha went on to...
Yeah, and so is the notion that you need a little bouncing baby. That's a notion of your mind that you need to create human beings and force them to play an idiotic game.
To teach exactly how one is to cope with and overcome these things. You don't have to actually get one of those statues I've got behind me and meditate.
Yeah, I don't think Buddha even suggested you have a Buddha. Yeah, I bet he probably didn't say, get a little statue of me and rub its belly and that'll somehow cure your problems. Yeah. But again, we do know where Buddha goes. So you're going to do, it's Buddha halfway. So you're like one of those those fake Christians, you know, who just take out all the parts they don't like and just keep the silly ritualistic stuff that's convenient to their way of life. I see. It's little, what, Buddha .02.
Okay, thinking about it. You don't have to call yourself a Buddhist. You don't have to call yourself an anythingist.
Yeah, just become a nihilist like me. Right, okay, we got it. We got what you are. Just become a selfish jackass focused on your silly, you know, whatever, your chocolate cake snack that goes with your lunch.
To attack the idea of suffering, to attack the idea of harm, to attack the idea of pain.
Yeah, well, you're not attacking the idea of it, okay? You're not looking at it and saying, why does it exist? Well, it doesn't exist for no reason. It exists because the world is full of trapdoors and gnarly shit, and the only way a rational person could play the game is that they somehow have to pretend the doors don't exist. That's it. That's all you're arguing. You're just arguing for the bliss of ignorance. That's all this bullshit is. You fighting depression with the bliss of ignorance and saying that's a proper cure. Well, I say that's a crock of shit.
Of evil, even. Of any sort of negativity. Anything.
Any sort of negativity. Now, where the hell you go with that, right? Anything that imposes responsibility or imposes some sort of uncomfortable realization. Ooh, I have to. No, you don't have to. You can weasel out of it. Yeah, that's all. You just, where's my weasel out of it plan? How do I evade responsibility and accountability? You know, that's all.
That gives you the sense of being bad, of being harmful.
Yeah, that's a bad thing. Don't get a sense that you are being a bad person. Just go ahead and drink and drive all you want. Yeah, right. Oh, God, this guy is so silly.
Can be dealt with. There's just too much evidence that it can be dealt with that way.
Too much? What's the too much? Where's the evidence of this? All the happy-pappy people in India? I don't see it. Sorry. You know, the Buddha lives in a country where they have to tell people, well, you know, it's really bad to kill all the tigers. I mean, he has to explain it to all these enlightened people that maybe they shouldn't kill every exotic animal on their island or whatever the fuck it is, their peninsula thingy, their attachment, you know, and you know, for 25 cents. That kind of just plain sucks. Yeah, so what? I don't see the evidence of it there. Where's all these overcomers? Where are all these people? Krishnas? Krishna, tamborini. So is that what that's all supposed to be? We just pick up a tambourine and go skipping down the street. Oh, that's so hugely productive. You know, where's the empires and the civilizations of dignity and grace and beauty that any of these jackasses have built? Show them to me. Show me the accomplishment of your kind, Andy. You tell me who your kind is first. You give me a list of all the great Buddha buddies of yours, and let's see what they've accomplished in the world besides stealing the welfare of people.
To ignore. People are inclined to say that, you know, you're just tricking yourself into ignoring all the evil in the world, and I would...
Yeah, tricking yourself. You're doing it quite overtly. It's your whole fucking battle plan. So yeah, it's hardly a trick. You've overtly said, fuck it, I don't care, I won't care. You've said it overtly. Harm doesn't exist.
Say, no, you're not. You're coming to terms with it.
Thank you.
You're looking at it head on and saying, all right, what are you, Mr. Harm? What are you?
Well, you're made of two things, right? I mean, it's either something generically physical, okay, like pancreatic cancer, as pointed out in your comment section. It's something, harm just comes from underneath you, inside of you. Your body attacks you. Or the harm comes because you see something you care about, something that you've extended your consciousness to and made part of your life, and you now feel their pain. And all you're saying is, well, you can cut off those other people. You don't need to feel anybody else's pain. That's just a waste of time. And then you have this ambiguous notion that somehow you're going to be immune when it's your turn, fucker. Which I can't, I do, hope you get exactly what you've earned.
What is it that makes me so afraid of you? I want to understand what you are. I want to know everything about you. I want to come to terms with you and accept you for what you are.
Why would I want to do that? That's, I need to embrace the brain tumor and accept you for what you are. Why would anybody want to do that? Yeah, it's not going to be a rational answer.
Whereas the Benatarian school runs from harm, runs towards annihilation, towards...
Well, annihilation, you're going to keep using that word, but it's a bullshit word, okay? Runs towards what 85% of people are already doing right now, which is not needing to make the investment in, a future. They're already doing it right now. 85% of people are already doing exactly what David Benatar would suggest as the prescription. He'd say do it a little faster, but it's exactly the prescription. Have less kids. Have less kids. Yeah.
Suicide towards any number of other...
Again, the subject is nataling, okay? You want to keep making the subject something else, well, go ahead. I'm just saying I can live a perfectly happy life as soon as there's not the burden of not leaving a mess behind, okay? So give me a free and clear. Give me a world fixed forever. Well, I'll never have to worry about anybody having cancer again. I'll never have to worry about anybody experiencing any kind of harsh unpleasantness. And yeah, that's a huge burden off my shoulders, and so it becomes even easier to play the game without the worry that I'm going to wake up in Indonesia, okay, with a drug-addicted mother and an insane father.
Ways of simply blotting it out and refusing to face it. As I say...
Why would I want to face it? Again, I have no cause to face it. If I don't make babies, I don't have to face it. Why do I need to face it? What is the accomplishment justifying the facerosity? I don't want to face the reality of contemplating my last 5 minutes on Earth in some Chinese coal mine when I'm a 21-year-old. Why would I want to do that? Why would I want to contemplate suffocating to death at 21 years old in China? Why would I want to do that? Why would I want anyone ever to experience that? Why would I ever want to even contemplate it being a possibility? Why would I do that?
The antinatalist plan of ending all sentience is not going to happen
realistically. Oh, again, so that's a prediction, right? So, again, ignore the fact that 85% of the human population is already on board. They're already on the fucking train. And all you gotta do is load the circle spinning loony toony ticks, okay, that are making all of the world's problems. The dumbest freaking 15% of the morons on earth, alright, spinning around with their Buddhas and their Jehovahs and their Mohammeds, okay? That's where it all is. That's the only place that exists anymore. Alright, and they're the ones you can't herd onto the train because they're not rational. You can't just say, free cake over here, so they can't understand what the fuck you're saying because they're so fucking stupid. So again, this is just a lie. It'll never happen. It's already happening, jackass. Go to Japan.
Realistically speaking, in our lifetime. If you're going to commit suicide, then go...
The subject is antinatalism. I mean, god damn it. I mean, there are plenty of reasons to just say, give up and get the fuck out before it really gets you, before life really drops a brick on you. So I'm not going to say somebody shouldn't commit suicide. But, I mean, yeah, we're not going to fix the problem if we're dead. So you got to try to linger, if you can. I mean, if there's a whole bunch of bricks over your head, get the fuck out before they fall.
Go ahead and do it. Be done with it. If that's your conclusion, if that's your way of dealing with depression or with the
Well, whatever. That even this, does this make any sense to you? Right? He talks empathetically about depression and all this stuff about how he was depressed, and then he says, if that's the way you deal with it, no, you're supposed to be suggesting that people have some other way. You found the way, and so why don't you just say, well, look, all I had to do was walk up a couple of these stairs, and I could see that, yeah, okay, I don't have to walk all the way up the staircase. So yeah, maybe you could cut some of this down, all right? I mean, you can't take on all the world's burdens, but yeah, you can take on the simple ones. And you could certainly take on the ones where you just, modify your behavior a little bit, wear a condom and not have a kid. I mean, that's an easy one to solve.
the way the world is, then by all means, swallow that pill, whatever your means are of ending your days.
Yeah, well, so of course he wants to kill now. He wants to kill the people who would suggest, hey, you know what, life is kind of stupid. So yeah, as if the people who are losing aren't getting killed off quickly enough, right? They're getting genocide around the world, right? Their lives put to an end in some miserable, horrible way. They're enslaved in China. They have no freedom of speech. So they're all the miserable people have so little of a voice already, and he just wants to give the miserable people, squeak their voice down even more by suggesting they should just get it over with. Yeah, fuck you. Really. Weaselly maneuver.
Do it. You've really got no other choice if you're dealing with something that is, by definition, unendurable.
Well, whatever that, again, isn't it? It's unendurable by the last, after the book is written, you say it was unendurable. It's kind of hard to say it ahead of time.
If you don't avail yourself of this option, you've got a few more years ahead of you.
I mean, it's just amazing, though. So he's conceding the existence of something that might be unendurable suffering and pain and depression, and yet he would subject a new child to that risk for what cause? To satisfy some dopey little gears in his head, some silly crap in his psychology. He doesn't have a rational reason. He's not telling us I need to have children because, the volcano god, when he shows up, is going to want there to be people here on Earth because the volcano god can't have an interaction with us if we're not here, so we have to be here. He doesn't give us a rational reason why these new people have to be born or why he personally has to father them. Right? There's no rational reason. All there is little crap in his head. So he says you can overcome the crap in your head, and yet he's telling you you can't overcome the crap that says, I'm so special, my DNA must be in the future. That piece of crap you can't overcome. Quite amazing. Really, quite amazing. You can watch your fucking best friend get run over by a bus, but you can't overcome your desire to get a piece of your genetic code into the future.
Of suffering. If suffering has value, if harm has value, if harm is the central
yeah, right.
value of our existence, does it make sense to try and come to terms with it, to overcome it, to deal with it, to cope with it in some way or other?
No, yes, as long as the coping is to fixing. That's right. If something's broken, you fix it. The broken isn't the fact that you care if your best friend gets run over by a bus. That's really not the broken. The broken is your best friend getting run over by the bus. I mean, damn it.
Rather than running from it?
Well, I don't think you're running from it if you say, why the fuck, where was the bus going anyway? And if you find out the bus was going to Tiffany's to polish some jackass's diamond ring that he seduces little, I don't know, Paraguayan women with or something, yeah, then you say, fuck it, fuck that bus. Fuck that nonsense.
Doesn't it make sense to actually devote one's energies in that direction, to devote one?
Yeah, that's why people write books. Yeah, they devote their energies to just explain to people the obvious. That guess what? You don't need buses. You don't need to cross the street. You don't need to get run over ever again.
One's energies towards coming to terms with it or overcoming it. I would say that it is quite insane to say that harm is the only thing that has value, or harm has...
Yeah, the only thing that has value. Yeah, so that's insane. It's insane to think that the only thing that has value is the welfare of a feeling, sentient creature. That's insane. That's so much. No, real value is in plastic bottles, because, yeah, that's really... We have to be here because we have to make plastic bottles, because that's what Zomptadu, the alien god who's going to land in the volcano, that's what he really is after. He wants plastic bottles, and if people aren't here, there won't be enough plastic bottles.
Harm is the central value of our existence, and then not attempting to come to terms with it.
Yeah, well, like I said, the easiest way to come to terms with it is the solution 85% of the people have already found, and that is, don't make more mess.
There's something inherently masochistic about that.
No, what's masochistic? I mean, clearly what's masochistic is to sit there and impose on a future, because that's sadistic. Really. I mean, you're masticating your own DNA molecule. You're saying, okay, DNA molecule, do it again. Yeah, and you know the failures is all over that road. The trapdoors will open, your kind will fall through them, so that is pretty masochistic. It will be a piece of yourself, it's true. It will be equal to yourself. So it is kind of masochistic to say, yes, I'd like to go fall through that trapdoor. I mean, that sounds pretty masochistic to me.
And there is something inherently masochistic, strongly masochistic, overwhelmingly masochistic in depression.
Well, I'm sorry. That's just a crock of shit. Yeah, there's so many analogies you could use. It's like if I won the Olympics, it would be masochistic for me to say, okay, I'm just going to keep swimming, or I'm going to keep running, or I'm going to keep pole vaulting, I'm going to keep doing it, I'm going to keep doing it, I'm going to keep... No, I'd say, I did it well enough. Yeah, I think we're done. And you're the masochist. You're the one saying you need to do it over and over and over and over again.
Thank you.
Yeah, fuck you. Fuck you. So what is it? What's the punchline religion? What's the real story here? Why can't you overcome your need to have babies? Huh? Why can't you do that? Oh, because you're such a desperate pervert? Is that it? Yeah, you really do want to take little photos and, you know, whatnot. What is the game, shithead? How come you can't overcome that desire? Huh? How come you can't? How come you can't just blink that out of your little wacky gear work? You can pull out, your wife can die of cancer tomorrow and everything's fine, so what, who cares, I'll buy a new bitch. All this other shit can happen, not going to bother you any. But somehow this thing bothers you. It bothers you so much you got to make 90 videos contriving an excuse to do it. I mean, there's got to be a reason. Why? Why can't you overcome that one? Why? Because you're a bug? You're as dumb as a bug, and you think we should all be as dumb as bugs? I mean, what is it? I've already asked enough questions that haven't gotten any answers. So off to the website we go. Hi-ho, hi-ho. A little quick update. Lots of videos, I must admit. I do make too many of them. And this one's another example of another too long a video, right? Alright, so there's the last YouTube video, I believe. Yeah, it's got to be. It says YouTube. It should have a little icon on there. Well, the icons, the images haven't shown up yet. Oh, there it is. There it is. Okay. So we got Stickam from last Saturday. And then we got the What the Fuck. No, these are all good videos. Too stupid. Too stupid. So this is a response to Rosebushy and Warbles on a lot. Mostly Rosebushy, but good video. Utilitarianism was sort of a paraphrase of a conversation I had with Remy and Stickam, and just add a little bit of an add-on to that. This is, you know, the evil guy, arachnid guy. Lots of those videos, actually. So, yeah, he's denying the origins of well, whatever. Yeah. Well, you'll get. You have to watch the videos. They're good videos. This is a response to Do in the Morning, who did a pretty horrid video saying anti-nihilism is only making two simplistically stupid arguments, which aren't even. Well, anyway, I respond to all her nonsense completely. She just totally dealt with, totally pwned. The bad, the bad, the bad, the bad, the bad. Yeah, the bad, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Well, anyway, this is really a pretty good video, I think. Why is it? Oh yeah, just pointing out that even the good is sort of bad, because when you have the good stuff, then you have to live the rest of your life with the memory of the good stuff. Then you're always going to be sitting there saying, "Gee, I wish I had some of that good stuff." Kinda. Anyway, okay, Goofy Gap Godding. So this is, another Spider-Man response video, and that's really, there's something here. This is about religion. This is about a God theory. Is he'd only be this aggressive in preserving humankind and trying to argue against people simply saying having kids is a silly idea. There's got to be a reason why he doesn't want somebody telling people having kids is stupid. There's got to be a reason. The irrelevant unknown just got out of the gap, so that's just more on top of that whole thing. And even this waste and slop is really just more add-ons to this whole conversation about the fact that our existence is not complicated. It's not beyond our capacity to understand what's going on here, and it is all just psychology. And it's a psychology trap playing the same stupid soap opera over and over and over and over again. And it just, there's no point in saying do more of that. There's no point at all. Just wasted suffering. Waste. It's just waste. Waste, 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 waste. Damn you. Alright, I think there was some other thing I was supposed to point out, but I don't know exactly what it would be. I guess since this is on, well, it should have been in my other YouTube video update. Well, that Termcast thing is available on the website too, the interview with Adam, and so it went pretty well. So anyway, long video, sorry about that, but yeah, whatever. It's the way it came out. I didn't figure I was going to be able to do it short, but I thought I could do it briefer than I did, but it doesn't matter. What's this guy about? What's his agenda? Because he's not trying to help people not be depressed. He's doing something else here. Yeah. I mean, Benatar is not some screaming depressive. Yeah, I mean, come on, get real.